Thanks for coming out this afternoon, spending some time. The director of Morningstar African Wellness Center, which is affiliated with Flanner House. We're directly across the street from Flanner on 23rd and MLK. So Watkins Park, Flanner House is right there. We're directly across the street in a new facility. I have a staff of African American therapists, both male and female, for those interested in counseling services. We do individual, we do family, we do couple, and we do group. Jock asked me to come today and present the Empower Handbook, which I authored a couple years ago, about 18 months ago. And this book was authored in a response to a number of police action shootings that took the lives of African American men around the country. So I wrote this book because most of us, and when I say most, I mean like 99.99% of us don't have a clue about what we are legally able and not able to do when it comes to police interactions, right? How many of you in the room, for example, were in middle school or high school and there was a class about engagement with law enforcement in your school? Okay? How many of you at 16 years old, when you got your license, went to the license branch and there was a required course for you to take at the license branch which told you what you were supposed to do and not supposed to do when you got pulled over? None of us. None of us. You know why? Because it's not available. It's not available to us. Now watch this. How many of you learned how to interact with police from mama, daddy, uncle, grandma, grandpa, big cousin when they gave you the keys to drive for the first time? They say, yo, if you get pulled over, this is what you do. How many of you learned how to interact with law enforcement that way? Exactly. Most of us learned what to do and what not to do by family members. And so for generations now, we have learned what to do and not to do, what police can do and what they shouldn't do. We've learned that from people who love us. And they've done the best they can trying to equip us, but the deal is they didn't know what to do either. Here we all are, adults, out there interacting with police, and we're doing it based on what someone told us, not the law. So what I did is I spent 6 months going through all of the laws of the state. They're actually called state code. They're not laws, they're called code. So this is the empowerment manual for police outcomes where everyone's respected. So empower is actually an acronym, right? Empowerment manual for police outcomes where everyone's respected. All right. So we're going to go through. I'm not going to read this to you. You can take this because I want you to actually read it for yourselves so you know what the law. Here's the deal. I actually was recently pulled over, mistaken identity. Joy, I'm talking 6, 7 cars behind me, guns ablazing. Step out of the car, turn around, walk backwards, hands on your head, get on your knees, hands behind, like the whole deal, all at gunpoint. And I promise you, when I got out that car, I had this in my hand. I literally drive with these. Everybody in my family has these in their visor. I pulled this out. They're like, hey, turn off the car. I will not be turning off no car because I ain't doing no reaching. Well, get up. Now, I'm not opening the door. You're welcome to come and open the door yourself because I ain't doing no reaching. You understand? Mm-hmm. Well, come up. No, hey, you just tell me what you want me to do. I will do that. Not a thing more. You understand? When I got out the car, my phone, which was in my lap, you think I reached for that damn phone? Mm-hmm. It was right under that car, right where it was. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Because police officers carry a presumption that if they said they were a friend, or if they say, hey, I thought he was reaching, they win every time. They win every time because the law will always lean to the side and the safety of an end. What happened last year, the 1st of July, they passed the permitless carry legislation in the state of Indiana. We all aware of that? Okay, so now at 18 years and up, there's legislation where now you don't even have a permit to carry in the state of Indiana, right? But there are rules to it, and when they passed that legislation, they did not tell us the rules. Did you notice that? And everybody in the hood, everybody, oh, broke, like we could pack heat now, blah, 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 not understanding that there were actually rules. Okay, so I teamed up with Bowles McKinney Law Firm, one of the most prestigious law firms here in the city, and we wrote this flyer because when I wrote this, that law had not been passed. All right, let's go through this real quick. Can you grab copies for the fellows who just came with us so they can, all right, so let's go page 1. Follow along with me. Because I want you to know we're going to get through, and then I'll have time for questions. Okay. When you're stopped, there are things that you can do and things that you probably should not do. Understand that an officer, especially now because of this joint right here, they have to approach your vehicle with what assumption?
That you might have a weapon.
Say no more. Everybody's carrying. They must approach your vehicle like you're carrying. So now what you will notice is that they are approaching often in the position as if to be ready for you to have a weapon. Okay? Now, because of us, who we are, and the historical context in which we've been raised, we are naturally fearful and anxious when police are behind us in the first place. They know that. When they pull behind a person of color, they know that the anxiety and fear level is on 100. They understand that. And science being what it is, they know how people react in stressful and nervous situations. Do you understand? This ain't a game. This ain't, oh, maybe, They got 400 years of our experience here in this country. It is a science. So they are approaching as if you have a weapon, and they also know that if it's somebody who look like me and you, we already nervous. Okay? And nervous people act in certain ways. Okay? Our culture happens to be a culture we're very expressive. We talk with our hands, we move around a lot. You understand, like this is just natural for me. I talk with my hands. Yeah? Well, you do that with an officer, that is interpreted as what?
Intimidation.
What?
Aggression.
Aggression. You understand? One of our sisters with the head and the energy and the aggression. You understand? She ain't did nothing. She ain't swung on nobody. She ain't spit, kicked nothing. But all of this and what? Ma'am, come on. You understand? We have to be super self-aware of the energy we're putting out. Now, please don't mistake that with me saying that we should tap dance because we black. I ain't talking about no tap dancing or shucking and jiving. I ain't talking about that. I'm saying being self-aware, which is being empowered. You see the difference? That's why I wrote this. Knowledge is power. One of the things that really bother and worry me is that there is an influx of folks on YouTube recording themselves challenging police on the side of the road. Right? They're lawyering it right there on the side of the road. Listen to me, please. Please hear me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let these YouTubers get your behind caught up because the presumption is on the cop side, not yours. I don't encourage you to do that at all. You understand? I encourage you to know what your rights are, know what you should and should not do, and move accordingly. But on the side of the road, you should not try to argue your case to a police officer. A police officer is a law enforcement officer. What was the key word? Enforcement. Say again? Enforcement. They're not here to make no decisions. They're here to enforce. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're not here to de-escalate your situation. They're here to enforce. They're not here to hear about what she did to you first. They don't give a damn. They're here to enforce the law. Arguing with them is a moot point. You shouldn't even try it because they're not judges. They're enforcement officers. You get the difference, right? And we often think, listen to me, we often think that if it makes sense, it will work out for us. So what we do is over talk, and most of the time that gets us into more or less trouble.
More.
Every time. More.
Furthermore,
More. It never works out. You ain't here to talk. An officer who's going to lock your behind up is going to lock your behind up, whether you sounding good or not. You going to jail. Do you understand? But here's the trick. Just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're guilty and going to do time. Hear me. Hear me. Because this is where our fear really kicks into overdrive, and we get to talking too damn much, and now they usually say stuff you shouldn't have said, right? The fear is that if I get arrested and go to jail, that I am guilty and going to do time. Them handcuffs don't mean guilty. It just means you're going to be detained until you have a court date, and that's who you need to argue with, not the police officer. Do you see what I'm saying? All right. Now, Miranda rights, we all know what Miranda rights are? Yes, that's you have the right to remain silent, yes? When do they have to provide you Miranda rights?
Whenever you're being detained, but after you're being, whenever you're put under arrest.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Next question, what is the difference between detained and arrested? Sir?
Detainment is, we're just holding you until we see whatever's needing to be decided. And then arrested is you going in that box.
This is when we get in the most trouble. Good answers. We get in the most trouble before and during detainment. Once you're arrested, you're going to go to jail. They're going to book you. You understand? Regardless. We get in the most trouble on the side of that road when we're detained. What does detained mean?
Just holding up traffic.
Say?
Just holding up traffic.
Okay.
Say, figure out their investigation.
Yes. They're doing a small investigation to decide what? Whether you're going to be arrested. Now, are you always in cuffs when you're detained? Detained means I'm not free to go. Do you understand what I'm saying? Detained means you're not free to go. They have questions for you. They have evidence to get, right? To decide whether what you've done or what they suspected you've done meets the level of, yes sir, we're not going to be able to let you go, you're coming with us. Okay? There's a difference. And we have to know the difference so we can control our emotional response. Do you understand? Because what we don't know is any, brother, you got somebody, any physical response to them is most likely going to add charges to you. Do you understand? And if they are trying to secure a conviction, they give you lots of charges so you can plead down to one. Snatching or what? Man, that right there, just that. Just that. Come on, man. No, assault. Resisting, public nuisance, all the things. You understand? And all you was doing, hold on, man, shit. Got you. You understand? So we got to be in supreme control of our emotions and use knowledge as power instead of flying off the handle. Does that make sense? And so that one piece that I just gave you, being arrested does not mean guilty, should liberate your mind, should free you up. It's going to be an inconvenience, but that don't mean you about to serve time. Does that make sense? All right. The state of Indiana, you must or must not produce ID in this state. Do you have to or do you not have to? Here. Not doing nothing wrong. Police says, yo, Jacques, come here. And you're like, what? You here. ID. Do you have to ID yourself in the state of Indiana?
No. No.
Yes. If I'm driving, yeah.
They said driving, that's what I said too, but he said walking.
Yes. You do. Yeah. Indiana is a must ID state.
You have to prove your identity.
I don't give a damn what you're doing. You could be rollerblading. You understand what I'm saying? But if they say, what's your name, son? There ain't no, man, I ain't got to tell you my name. Yes, you do. And in the state of Indiana, they can detain you until they figure it out. That could be 5 minutes. That could be 5 days.
That could be 5 months.
You understand? Until they figure you out, they can detain you. Okay? So, one of the bad pieces of advice that is in our community right now, most of us out there think, as long as I ain't doing nothing wrong, I ain't got to tell them my name. The hell. Yeah, you better. And what that ends up doing, and this is what YouTube don't show you, man, I ain't even do nothing. Hey man, I'm going to tell you one more time. You understand? Man, you can't make me up. Son, come here. And now we got physical because they're going to detain you whether you like it or not. You see what I'm saying? And it just started with you minding your business, walking down the street, and we don't know if they got a call or not. I think that's a very interesting thing. I like to talk to some lawyers about that. But like, we got a call saying that there's you meet the, like, I really want to know, lawyers, I really want to know, did they really receive a call? But anyway, if they say they did and they pull you over, you're walking down the street or you're downtown on the canal, or you understand what I'm saying, or you're on the Monon just hanging out with your lady and they say, come here, better provide a name. You better go ahead and provide a name. You understand? All right. So the difference between detained and arrested is detained is before arrest, and they may control your movement until a release. Yeah? And then arrest means you are no longer free to go. They must read you Miranda rights when they make that decision to inform you of your rights, right? And do we know those rights? You have the right to what?
Remain silent.
Yes.
You have the right to an attorney.
You have the right to an attorney, right?
And for one will be appointed for you.
Okay. Does that make sense? Very good. All right. Let's flip over to page 3. Here are 2 words at the top of page 3 and 4. Let's get, can we get those, the new folks a look?
Oh, yeah.
At the top of page 3 in blue, that first word is what? Reasonable suspicion. This is different than probable cause. We like to use these words interchangeable because, again, they don't come into our high schools and actually tell us the damn law. They just expect you to know it. And half of us have watched the first 48 and Cops on TV, so we think we know what to do. But here's the difference. Reasonable suspicion means what? A reasonable suspicion. What is a suspicion?
A guess.
What?
A guess.
A guess that what?
You might have done something wrong.
Okay.
Possibility.
That
I
okay.
think he did.
This is a suspicion, a hunch, a thought, right? That you have done or are doing something illegal. Okay? Let's go over to the top of the other page because you must know the difference. What's the word at the top?
Probable cause.
Probable cause. Go ahead, bro. Read it.
Reasonable assumption based on facts or evidence that a crime has been committed by the person being detained.
All right. So now we've moved from just a reasonable hunch or thought or guess to an assumption based on what?
Facts or evidence.
Facts and evidence. You rolled down the window and an old stale blunt smoke came right on out of your car. Because you ain't got sense enough not to smoke in your car. That's one of the, I just get frustrated with our community. That's one of the dumbest things to do if you're trying to avoid contact with police. So, reasonable suspicion is a hunch. You look out of place. Now, you know, here's the deal. A lot of that is based on old racism and classism. Well, what are you doing over here? Look at me and hear me well. You should never answer that question. You should never answer that question. Where are you coming from? You should never answer that question. Where are you on your way? You should never answer that question. That's not part of the traffic stop. You understand? Sir, would you like my license and registration? Is the response to that question. Not getting smart. Man, you don't need to know where. We don't get smart with police. For what? For what? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's not smart to have an ego contest with someone who has the authority to that. And again, I'm not preaching up here talking about some tap dancing. I'm just saying being smart. I think I'm a smart brother. You understand what I'm saying? Why would I argue with someone who could make major decisions in my life when I don't need to? I'm not going to. Sir, would you like my license and registration? Well, I just asked you where you were coming from. Yes, sir, I understand you asked me that, but would you like my license and registration? You see what I'm saying? I don't got to get smart with you. I don't got to be disrespectful or challenge your authority, because that's when it goes from good to bad, just like that. When they feel challenged, you see what I'm saying? And I don't need to mess with your ego, bro. I'm trying to go home. Okay? All right. So, over on page 4, these are some of the things, look at that checklist. These are some of the things that may be included in a probable cause situation. Look at that. The smell of drugs or alcohol, right? That's number 1. Visible drugs, alcohol, or weapons, right? Visible bruises or blood or cuts, right? Like you just were in an altercation. Does that make sense? Right? If you're out of breath, bloodshot eyes, acting overly nervous, twitchy, running from law enforcement, right? Now, let me be very clear. Hear me. I don't care if you did them all. You should still not lose your life on the side of somebody's road. Do you understand? I don't believe, and I'm not saying that if you do one thing, well, I mean, he should have, no, that's bullshit. Excuse my language. You should be able to be arrested and go to court like everybody else. Yep. Right. But, I'm going to keep it real with you. But humans don't work like that. So here I am, maybe having a couple of these things, and I decide that I'm going to take off running. Nah, this is real talk. It just happened. I decide I'm going to take off running. What do you think the response is going to be when they catch me? It's going to be a problem. Right. Because now they pissed off that they had to chase you. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? What is he hiding? What's he got on him? He ran. You understand? They was being polite at the window, but now you done took off. You think they can handle that in a nice, calm manner? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you that most of the time that ain't how it works. A detainment has a reasonable time frame. Has a reasonable time frame, and if you have not done anything, wasn't doing anything, you are more than empowered to say, may I leave now? Am I being detained? And they have to answer that question. You understand what I'm saying? Am I being detained? They must tell you yes or no. And if the answer is no, then you can say with all confidence, may I leave then? And if you're not being detained, they have to let you leave. Now, before that, man, I ain't even did nothing, and you think you just gonna walk away, you got a problem. You must communicate. Am I being detained? Well, no, sir, I'm just asking you some questions. I'm not being detained. No, sir, I'm just asking you some questions. May I leave? They have to tell you. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand? But the opposite is not true. You're on the side of the road, okay? Dig it. Sir, step out the car, please. Man, I ain't stepping out the car. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. In the state of Indiana, you getting out that car. Now, you can say, can you please call your supervising officer? Guess what? They must. If you request them to call the supervising officer, they must. But here's what the law does. It protects them until you get there. Any order he gives you between you requesting and that dude showing up is law. You still obligated. Get your behind out that car. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're gonna be like, yes sir, we'll call right away. But until he gets there, guess whose word you gotta follow? That officer, you go step out the car. Do they have to have a reason to ask you to step out the car?
Man, that's probably called. Actually,
It's real, it's in here. Do they have to have a reason, tell you a reason to get you out the car?
Reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you
No.
about to be up in
All they
in
say,
a couple
sir,
minutes.
I need you out the
in a
car.
couple minutes.
And in court, they're gonna say, hey, I just wanted to make sure we were safe, and he didn't try to drive all the things. The law's gonna be on their side. They do not have to have a reason to tell you, sir, I need you out of the car. Now, they probably are not in that situation going to detain you by putting you in cuffs. They may have you sit on the back of your car, the front of your, you understand what I'm saying? But they don't, and we get this twisted, they don't have to have a reason to tell you step out that car. And they don't have to allow you to wait until that supervisor gets there. If they wanted to escalate that, they are in their bounds to do that. Do you understand? Okay. Some of us, especially the females in the room, but I do this too. If I'm getting pulled over at night, it is in your rights to get to a well-lit area. It is in your rights to go to a well-lit area, but that has to be within reason, right? So, here's a question. I use this and I've done this with police in the room. Can you drive a mile to a well-lit area? Can you drive another mile to a well-lit area?
I will. I'm serious.
To them, it's gonna feel like you running or playing. You understand? You got a couple blocks. As long as you acknowledge, they see that you acknowledge you're being pulled over, right? That means getting all the way over to the right. That means you maybe turn on your dome light and wave to them so they know that you know you're put, right? You see what I'm saying?
I don't stop on highways. If I can put over a highway, I'll wait till I get to the first exit and then to get off.
So, but you're probably slowing down. You're probably acknowledging, right? What they want to see, and I've had this told to me from law enforcement. Mind you, I do want you, this has gone all the way to the Supreme Court of the state. There's not been a single edit in this in 2 years. Everything in here is gospel. You understand? The chief of police have looked at this. The Fraternal Order of Police have looked at this. The prosecutor's office have looked at this. Bose McKinney has looked. There's not been a single edit in here. This is legit. You understand? You can get to a well-lit area, but you better let them know that's what you're doing. Okay, go ahead.
Put on your hazards.
Absolutely. That's what I do. I put on my hazards so they know that I know. Right? All right. Check out page 9. All right, now, I wrote this in proper English. I'm giving you examples of ways you can respond. All right? And what you will notice about these responses, I'm not going to read them to you, but what you're going to notice about these responses, I am intentionally being respectful. Because here's the deal. I don't know y'all family situation, your love life or whatever. I'm trying to take my ass home.
Right.
I'm trying to get home. I don't want to get locked up no more. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to be hurt, bruised, beat on the side of the road. I don't want that. Now, I do have integrity as a man. You understand what I'm saying? I do have integrity as a man. I do want, you know, it to be a reciprocated respect. But here's the deal. A lot of us, our culture kind of gets in the way. You know, some of us say things like, I'm willing to die for my respect. Some of us say stuff like that. If you really think about that, that don't really make a whole bunch of sense. That's really foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want, my daddy used to tell me, hey, don't be nobody's doormat. That's okay. I can rock with that. But on the side of the road with a police officer, and we know what we know, and we have the historical record of how that works for us, it don't make no sense for me to give this man no energy that I don't want back, right? So these phrases are just little stuff for you to think about. You understand? For example, here's the most common one. Sir, do you know why I'm pulling you over today? How would you respond to that? No, sir, I don't. Would you like my license and registration? That's how I would handle it. I use a phrase called power of choice. With every choice I make, I'm either giving or retaining my power. I'm either giving it or I'm retaining it, right? With every choice I make. So I'm always thinking, and when I make decisions, especially when other people are involved, am I keeping my power or am I giving permission, right? So check those out, read them, think how you put it in your own language, okay? What questions do you guys have? What questions about law enforcement interactions do you have? Go ahead, bro.
What if they just like on 10 HUD from the beginning?
Yep.
Just like you said something earlier about like it was a mistaken identity. You pulled over. It was like, cause I'd be having the same problem.
Yep. Listen, bro. I promise you. I was in the lap. I literally did this. I stepped out. When I stepped out, my phone dropped out. They're all behind me this way. I'm literally telling them, that was a phone. Get back here, da-da-da. Which direction? Like this, I'm so serious. Literally, this is, bro, like this. Which direction? To your left. My left, boom. Back this way. I'm back towards you. Say no, like I'm literally talking to them. You see what I'm saying? And then one guy, I said, hey, you don't need to do that. He like grabbed my hand, right? Because he's gonna put me in. I said, you don't need to do that. I said, be careful, because I'm being careful. He was like, let me do my job. I said, sir, I'm happy to let you do your job, but you be careful, because I'm being careful. Like, so I'm always, and I'm not bragging, bro, I'm just saying, I'm always in control because I don't want to give my control to somebody else.
We need to have you come back again. I'll set it up in another month so you can do the whole thing.
No, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, hey, for real, take a look.
Yeah.
Well, did you get one?
No.
Got one? Everybody got one?
Y'all want to take like 5 minutes? Yeah, get some refreshments or use the bathroom, and then we'll do another half-hour presentation, and then we'll be done. You got to.